YouTube, Lauren Howman here, and driving to work on this Tuesday. I am on day, gosh guys, I don't even know anymore, day 6. I'll complete day 7 tonight at 6 p.m. And how I'm feeling on this extended water fast, cranky, very cranky. Last night I was cranky, so I put myself in a bath and just soaked myself after the kids went to bed, and then I got on the phone with my best friend to just kind of de-stress, and then I went to bed. So other than that, I'm fine. I woke up this morning laying in bed thinking, oh my gosh, I feel super skinny, because you just feel so empty inside, and you would think that that feels not like emotionally, but just like physically, no food in your stomach. But I thought, man, I probably lost like 5 pounds overnight just by the way I felt. Guess what? I lost 0 pounds overnight. So for a full day, I stayed at 193. And so then I was like kind of miffed about it, even though I talked a few days ago about how you'll definitely lose inches if you're not losing weight. Well, I kind of like to see the number go down, okay? Just like everybody else. So I bust out my measuring tape. I take all of my measurements thinking, let me just prove to myself that we're doing good things here, which I know I am. I know I'm losing inches and weight, even if the scale doesn't move for like a 24-hour period. It's not like it's time to throw in the towel and just call it a day, like, oh, this doesn't work. No, that's definitely not true. But I busted out my tape measure, I did all my measurements, and then guess what? Because I'm so organized, I can't find my last measurements that I did on April 1st. Can I find them anywhere? I store everything on my iPhone, like either as a picture or as a note or in an email or something, because I don't like to have a bunch of loose paper hanging around. But guess who can't find their measurements? That would be me. So I've got to find those things, so I can tell you guys tomorrow what happened with my inches this month so far. So since I went through the trouble of measuring myself, I need to find those measurements so I can tell you how all of that's going. So anyway, other than being cranky, I'm fine. I feel good, lots of energy, and I do have a blood ketone monitor. You don't need one. I mean, basically, if you don't eat, you're going to go into ketosis. You don't need to worry about it, and you can just use the urine strips. But I'm a super dork, and I love numbers. I love to crunch numbers. Like, not even crunching. There's no crunching here. But I love to compare numbers. I love to compare measurements, blood sugars, ketone levels in the urine, ketone levels on the blood meter. So I checked my ketones last night, and I was at like 3.8 for ketones in the blood. And essentially, for blood ketones, you want to be between 1.5 and 3.0 to be in a therapeutic range. And anything over that's not really adding any benefit. It's just ketones left over that your body's not using for energy. But anything less than 1.5, you're not really in a therapeutic range where you're really getting that maximum fat burning yet. So bumpy road again. So I know I'm doing good things right now. You definitely do not need a blood ketone meter. I'm just a dork. And when my strips run out, I'm not going to replace them. I'm probably just going to sell the meter on eBay, because the strips are super expensive and it's kind of dumb. Because like I said, if you're not eating and you're not taking in carbs or calories, you're definitely going into ketosis. Doesn't matter who you are. This works for everybody. You're not going to just like not go into ketosis. So there's no need to measure it. I just like to. So, but I'm not going to waste my money on any more strips, because the strips are stupid expensive. All right, so what are we talking about today? We're going to talk about insulin resistance again today, but we're not talking about like what it is. So if you missed my video, gosh, that's a lot of sunlight. If you missed my last video a couple days ago about what insulin resistance is and how it happens, go back and check that video out. But what we're going to talk about today is how we're being medicated for individual disease processes. Oh, I like that word like that. Processes, makes me sound smart. Process. Let me fix this before we all go blind. There we go. All right, so how insulin resistance is at the root of all of these diseases, and yet we're treating them all individually. So if you have high blood pressure, you get a high blood pressure pill. If you have high cholesterol, you get a dyslipidemia pill. Oh my gosh, it's too early. Yeah, so if you have Crohn's disease, you get something for Crohn's disease. Anyway, you get the gist. We're being medicated with all of these pills. So you can literally walk around with like 8 bottles of pills and still consider yourself pretty healthy. You're just being treated for a bunch of different disease processes. And really it all comes back to insulin resistance. So insulin is actually an anti-inflammatory hormone. So when your insulin's doing the right things and it's being received by your body in the right ways and it's working efficiently, it's anti-inflammatory. It has those properties. But when you become insulin resistant, that's where we run into problems. So you begin to get high blood pressure. You begin to have high cholesterol, the bad cholesterol. You start to have belly fat. So belly fat is different than like fat all over your body, but belly fat specifically is an indicator of like poor health. So don't want that. And all of these things, fatty liver comes from insulin resistance, where you start storing too much fat in your liver, and all that leads to diabetes. Diabetes directly leads to heart disease. It leads to increased clotting. It leads to increased plaques. It leads to arrhythmias and inflammation of the heart. In your joints, you get inflammation, so you start getting all of the porosis, the osteoporosis, the rheumatoid arthritis. It leads to autoimmune issues, digestive system issues with Crohn's and IBS. It leads to cirrhosis of the liver. And interestingly, in the brain, they found links with insulin resistance to Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. Like, what? Okay. It leads to brain fog and poor memory. And in men, it decreases the androgens and leads to low testosterone or lower testosterone. In women, it increases the androgens and leads to things like infertility and PCOS. So here we are, America, first world country, smart as we are, and we're treating all of these things like high blood pressure. Why not just fast for 5 minutes and get your blood pressure down? Why not fast and get your cholesterol fixed? But let's take 15 medicines instead. It really doesn't make sense. And the more and more I am digging into fasting and all of the benefits of fasting and all of the benefits of decreasing your insulin resistance and increasing your insulin sensitivity, I am blown away. As a nurse practitioner, as a person in the medical field, as a person who went through the normal education process to get my degrees so that and pass the boards and do all that stuff so I can practice as a nurse practitioner in women's health, none of this was talked about. I mean, insulin resistance might have been touched on, but the importance of having no insulin resistance and its impact on reversing all of this crap instead of taking 84,000 pills, it just blows my mind. It just blows me away that this is what we're doing in America. So you go to your doctor and you get a pill for blood pressure instead of being told, like, get your shit together and decrease your insulin resistance and your blood pressure will go down naturally. And one of the things I'm looking further into, and I can't speak too much on it just yet, but I'll touch on it today, is that I suffered infertility. My husband and I tried for years and years, and finally we went in and I have 2 babies that were lovingly made in a petri dish. And so both of my babies were made through the IVF process, and I don't think we would have had children any other way. I wonder if I'd known about fasting back then, if I could have fasted myself into a place where my eggs started working properly and started kicking out some babies naturally, like on my own. I won't know, because now I'm over that phase of my life and we are not making any more babies. So now that I've been fasting for months and months, we could probably put this to the test, but we're totally not going to do that. Our family is complete. So, but basically your body will not allow you to get pregnant if your body is not in good enough shape to carry a pregnancy to term. Like, your body's smarter than that. It's not going to let you get pregnant. So for people who are like really underweight, let's talk about like anorexia. People who are anorexic can't get pregnant because they don't menstruate. Your body turns off the menstruation. You stop ovulating. And that makes sense because you are not in a healthy enough place to carry a baby. So anyway, that's just a little side side note, but it's an interesting thing that I'm going to dig a little bit further into. But basically, here we are, again, first world country, and we're doing it so backwards. And I'm starting to kind of a little bit buy into like the big pharma hypothesis that really America wants you to be sick so that you can spend money on all these drugs. And I'm not gonna say that I buy into it, but that theory kind of makes sense in a lot of ways, because I know I said this on a video the other day, the education is just lacking, and we're not teaching our patients what they need to know to be healthy. We're just helping them treat their illnesses, and that's not the same thing. So anyway, y'all, that's my thing for today. So fasting. If you want to decrease your insulin resistance, start following a fasting regimen. I don't care how you do it. If you want to reach out to me and have me help you, that's cool. Find me at Lauren Howman2, the number 2 at yahoo.com, or on Facebook. Just send me a private message. But if you fasted for 20 hours a day and ate a low carb meal and maybe a snack for 4 hours of the day, but had no calories and no carbs for 20 hours a day, you would significantly reduce your insulin resistance, and you'd start to see your blood pressure fall within range. You'd start to see your cholesterol numbers look better. You'd start to reverse all of these disease processes that are caused by food. They're all caused by food. It's pretty ridiculous. And the fact that I'm like almost 40, like in a couple months, and I'm just finding this out, and I'm a medical professional, it's kind of sad. It's very sad. So more on that later. I will dig more and more. Once I get into a rabbit hole of something, I just try to learn everything I can, and I'll share all that information with you guys. And hopefully I'll be providing a benefit to, I mean, if even just one person gets off their blood pressure medication, I'm a happy camper. If one person reduces, I really can't talk today, reduces their diabetic medication or comes off of it completely, or reverses any of these food related diseases or inflammations, then I would be a happy camper. So I feel like the next thing to do is I feel like I need to find a way to bring this into mainstream medicine. I am yet one small person, but I feel like somehow we need to start, and other people are doing this too. Like, it's not just me worried about this, but I feel like we need to find a way to get this mainstream so that people understand that food is the medicine and food is the problem too. So I hope everybody has a good day. That was my rant. I hope it all made sense. And send me your questions to laurenhowman2 at yahoo.com, or find me on Facebook, follow me there, and like and subscribe to my videos, and click the bell so that you get notifications when I post another video, which I'm doing daily at this point. Bye guys.